I've lived in the same house for 40 years. After Rachel passed and I was left alone for the first time in 3 decades, I turned to my neighbors for comfort. They provided it in spades. I was honored and brought to tears by their kindness. Not too many places would make sure a lonely old lady was taken care of. I'm surrounded by wonderful, beautiful people. I took on the role of a grandmother to some of the neighborhood children. I was more than happy to babysit. Rachel and I always wanted to adopt, but it wasn't permitted in our state. So, having the opportunity to be a formative figure in the lives of these children was a great privilege. It made me feel like I was getting another chance to do everything that had been denied to me. I wish Rachel could have been here to take part. Still, I know she's watching with the same love and pride she expressed every day that she was alive. One girl, Madison, formed a particularly strong connection to me. Her father was out of the picture. Her mom, Helen, who was forced to work full-time, was rarely home during the day. Helen had always been the most supportive and loving of the neighbors after Rachel's death, so when I had the opportunity to help with Madison and watch her during the workday, I was more than willing. I started looking after Madison soon after her 10th birthday. She fell in love with the collection of toy kangaroos all over the house. Rachel was born in Australia, and I always used to call her my little Roo, especially when she got excited and her accent became more pronounced. On her birthdays, I'd give her some type of kangaroo toy. They'd been gathering dust after her passing, and I was glad Madison could give them some life again. Years passed, and Madison started to grow up. I was worried she was becoming depressed. She never had very many friends in school. She'd come straight over when her day was done and do her homework while waiting for her mom. Her mood was less bubbly than I'd remembered. Part of it, I'm sure, was her age. Adolescence is tough for everyone, let alone someone with a difficult family life like Madison. Still, I worried about her. She was perfectly nice to me and was never rude or disrespectful, but she'd withdrawn. She didn't watch television with me anymore after her homework, either. She'd just sit on the floor in her kangaroo pajamas, which were far too small for her at that point, playing with Rachel's figurines, just like she did when she was little. When Madison was 16, she got a boyfriend. Her first one, as far as I knew. I didn't like him. At all. He was your typical teenage tough guy type, a chain-smoking, foul-mouthed loser. There wasn't anything I could do about it, though. Madison wouldn't bring him over, and I think she sensed I didn't approve. But it wasn't my business. I told myself years before that such situations were purely between Madison and her mother. Only if I felt like Madison was in danger would I interfere. Madison spent more and more time with the boyfriend and less with me. The house grew quiet again. The other children I'd taken care of had grown old enough to watch themselves. Their parents stopped by every so often for coffee, but my general person-to-person interaction was far less than I'd previously enjoyed. I was lonely. One night, Helen came to me in a panic. Apparently, Madison had admitted to using drugs. Helen had no idea what kind or anything like that, but she was terrified for her daughter's safety. I tried to reassure her that there had to be something the school could do, but that was when she told me the other half of the story. Madison was pregnant. This floored me. I'd seen Madison around town over the last few months, and I'd noticed she'd gained some weight, but it never occurred to me she might be pregnant. Now her drug use was even more worrying. We tried to figure out a plan together, and the only thing we could agree on was that the school had to know. Even though the local school system wasn't the best, they had to have some resources dedicated to problems like these. The school did nothing. Madison's reckless behavior continued. Helen was too terrified to notify the police because she feared she'd be put into a foster home. I, too, was clueless. Time went by, and the rare times I'd seen Madison in town, she'd be stumbling around drunkenly with her idiot boyfriend, her protrusive belly and obscenity against the background of her intoxication. On a late afternoon in February, I was leaving the supermarket when Madison spotted me from across the parking lot. She wasn't with her boyfriend, thankfully. She rushed up to me and gave me a big hug. She didn't seem drunk, but she had to be on something. Her pupils were dilated and her words were slurred as she said how much she missed me. Then she asked if she could come over later to see the kangaroos. I told her that would be wonderful and that I missed her. At some point around 7, Madison came over. I ushered her in quickly. It was way below freezing and she looked ill. I could tell she was high. She shuffled in without saying hello and went to the mantel where the kangaroos stood. In a sing-song, childish voice, she talked to them. When she was 11, I thought that type of thing was cute. Now though, knowing she was under the influence of something that was poisoning not only her, but the baby as well, it was far less adorable. I walked up to her and asked her if I could take her coat and if she'd like some tea and chocolate cake. She didn't reply. She just kept talking to the kangaroos. I sighed and sat down on the couch, waiting for her to either snap out of it and talk to me, or leave and hopefully go home to her mom. Madison went down the line of kangaroo toys on the mantel, saying, "I love you," to each one. Then she walked back, doing the same thing in reverse order. Then she faced me. "I love you too, Mary," she cooed, a thin smile cracking her pale face. "But you know what? I love Rue most of all." Madison dropped her heavy coat to the floor and I screamed. A gaping wound had been carved across the top of her belly. The blue head and chest and right arm of her baby stuck out from the opening. "Look at little Rue," she said, weakly. "Such a good little Rue." Madison tried to hop toward me, mimicking a kangaroo. The limp head and arm of the child flopped back and forth with the movement. "Sweet little Rue, all warm and safe in his pouch."